Hi and welcome to Korero Solutions YouTube channel. Thanks for joining us today. Today I want to talk about how do you get the most out of an introverted employee. So we're going to take a look at first defining some of the characteristics between introvert and extrovert and how that comes out in the workplace, because you kind of don't want to go up to your employee and say, hey, by the way, are you an introvert or an extrovert? Some people may know and some people may not know. So they say the very first tip is when you ask your employees when you need to rejuvenate and when you feel completely drained in your energy level, what do you find most appealing? Going out and spending an evening with your friends, getting to socialize with them a bit, or grabbing a book and sitting on a nice comfy chair? That's kind of, introvert is the book, extrovert is joining people. Now there's a wide spectrum as to where people sit. So you can be an introvert for, as your dominant characteristic, but you actually show more extrovert personality traits when you're dealing with people. So we just got to be careful when we're looking at defining people as either introverts or extroverts. So the introverted employee. Usually the signs that somebody's introverted, they come into work in the morning, they go to their desk, they start working, and they're engrossed in their work. The extrovert comes in, good morning, how is everyone? How was your weekend? How are the kids? How's it going today? What do you got planned today? And they re-energize to start their day by connecting with people around them. So to an introvert, they might want to pull away, but the extrovert, if you're the extrovert manager, you might want to engage them first thing. So how do you engage an introvert? One of the basic elements is to invite them into a conversation. What I mean by this is if you're having those morning touch bases or those morning check-in type meetings and you've got all kinds of extroverts on your team and they're all saying, I did this last night, you should see this movie, walked my dog, beautiful weather. Introverts don't normally jump in or interrupt. They have to be invited into the conversation. So if everybody's had their say and you go through your checklist as to who's on the call, or you're in the meeting and you again look at your checklist, just make sure if there's somebody that hasn't spoke, you give them the opportunity. So you say, hey, John, Phil, Ed, what are your thoughts? How was your weekend? Do you have anything you'd like to share with the group? Sometimes they'll say no. That's perfectly fine. Sometimes they'll say, oh, didn't do a whole lot. What's one thing that you did do that you thought was either funny or you'd like to share? Engage them again and then be silent for a couple seconds. Allow them that time to reflect and then come back with their answer. Also, at the end of meetings, a lot of times one of the other characteristics of an introvert is that they need to take time to sit back, analyze what's all been said, formulate what they see as the issue, the problem, what people want, and then they'll come back with the answer. So when you close off a meeting to engage those introverts, just leave the meeting open for 24 hours and say, if any of you go back and you think, oh, I wish I would have added this, or we should keep this in mind, leave it open that they can send you an email or a phone, give you a phone call so that you can add it to the minutes or add it to the project that you're working on. Again, introverts they'll usually work a little bit more silent than the extroverts will. If there's a lot of extroverts around them, they may deem them as a lot of people are wasting time because they socialize too much. Bringing awareness that that's a way that they work best is by having those moments of socializing. You can also ask the extroverts to take their socializing into a kitchen or away from the pod area if required, if it becomes quite disruptive to that introvert. If you're doing your annual performance reviews, whether you do them every month, quarterly, semi-annually, or just once a year, provide the information to your introvert employee ahead of time. Let them go over it, formulate their opinions. To bring an extrovert employee in and sometimes show them information on their PMA that's new to them may send them into the fight, flight, or freeze mode. So they're going to shut down, not say a whole lot, agree, sign, and then a month later you're going to get a grievance from the union because they didn't agree with it. If they're cornered, they will do pretty much anything to get out of the room that they're sharing with you. So whether that's signing a document or just agreeing to everything that you say, that could possibly be a path that an introvert would take. So again, best thing to do for them is to provide them the information ahead of time and let them think about it, let them prepare for that meeting. If you don't want to send it to them ahead of time because you do want to speak to them verbally about what's on there, then just don't expect for them to sign the document that day. Tell them that you've got a second meeting booked with them. You want them to take away this new information. Then if they have any questions or they'd like to talk about any aspect of it, you're open and you've got that second meeting booked for them. So big thing is to invite them into the conversation, allow them to prepare for the conversation, and also to allow them to respond after to a conversation that's just held. Don't end a meeting with the thought that, now we've made the decision, there's no room for any more input. Can you take a minute and just click like and subscribe to our channel? Because we've got a lot more great videos coming up that we'd like to share with you, and we'd like to let you know that they're on their way. So the last point I'd like to say about an introvert and managing an introvert, having an introvert as your co-worker, is not to label them as, oh, that's your introvert characteristics. Just know that there's certain preferences of an introvert personality in the workplace. That introvert can also become quite extroverted so it's like an introvert doing a presentation and it's quite lively and everybody's like, wow, they must be a real extrovert. No, to fulfill that goal that they have to step out of their introvert world and step into the extrovert world. So is it more draining? Absolutely. So the tip with for supervising an introvert when they have to live in an extrovert's world for so long is allow them that downtime. So that's the time alone, whether they're working in their office or working on something that doesn't involve dealing with clients, that they can re-energize to be ready for the next day. So thanks again for joining us. Take a look around at the staff that you work with, all your coworkers, some management, and just see what characteristics do you see that may define them as an introvert or extrovert. And then if you want to check in with them, just ask the question, hey, when you're feeling overwhelmed, what is it that you do to re-energize? And then go back to your list to see how many were you right on? How many did you guess completely wrong? Thanks again for joining us. Look forward to talking to you soon. Seeing y'all soon. Any comments, questions, please feel free to leave them below. Thanks. Take care.